Hey everyone! Let's jump straight into this explainer and take a really close look at the fascinating relationship between everyday cognitive strain and cellular support. We're going to review the observations laid out in our source document, examining exactly how our brains function under pressure and what practical support might actually be out there for us.
So let's start off with a calm but really important question straight from our source material regarding those minor mental blips we all experience. What if those small memory lapses aren't only a part of aging? It's a pretty thought-provoking premise, right? It really challenges those default assumptions we tend to make as we move through life.
And just real quick, before we go any further, please note that this explainer is strictly educational and is not medical advice.
Okay, here's our agenda for today. First, we'll cover the common memory mistake. Second, a surprising brain support. Third, safe and practical use. And finally, protecting long-term independence. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The common memory mistake. We've all been there, right? These everyday moments are familiar to pretty much everyone. You forget a familiar name. You walk into a room and completely blank on why you're even in there. Or maybe you're just misplacing your keys a lot more often than you used to. It's incredibly easy to just brush these moments off. We blame it on being distracted, having a bad night's sleep, feeling stressed, or just getting older. But our source material highlights something super interesting. Assuming every single small lapse is meaningless or just inevitable is actually a mistake. Sure, sometimes it's just a busy mind, but sometimes it's literally a signal that your brain and body need better support.
Moving on to Section 2, a surprising brain support.
Now, when we talk about mental sharpness, creatine is rarely the first thing that pops into your head. For decades, it was basically treated as just a gym supplement, big tubs of powder for bodybuilders. But research is actually examining a much wider role now. Creatine is a compound that helps cells rapidly restore the fuel they use. And here is the crucial part. That includes the cells in your brain. Human studies are suggesting that it's way better understood as a support system, one that potentially aids your memory, attention, processing speed, your mood, and overall mental performance, especially when your brain is under strain.
So who stands to benefit the most? Well, observational data points to 3 specific groups who might have lower baseline stores of creatine, meaning they have the most to gain. We're talking about older adults, vegetarians and vegans, and people who are experiencing a sleep shortage. Because these individuals might just have a lower usual intake or lower stored levels, their bodies and brains could respond a lot more noticeably to this kind of cellular support.
Let's ground this in some real-world scenarios of sustained mental demand. Think about travel and jet lag, really intensive periods at work, heavy emotional pressure, or dealing with disrupted sleep. These are the times when our mental capacity feels completely stretched to the limit. Now, our source is very clear here. Creatine is absolutely not a cure for dementia, and it's not some magic guarantee against cognitive decline. Instead, think of it as support for a brain and body that are actively being challenged. You still have to put in the actual work, like reading, learning, solving problems, and you have to provide the building blocks through good nutrition. But creatine, it may just help your brain respond a whole lot more effectively to all that effort.
Section 3. Safe and practical use.
Before we talk about how to actually use it, the source points out a really fascinating inconsistency in how society judges everyday risks. Think about processed meat. It's officially classified as a human carcinogen, yet eating it is completely socially normal. On the flip side, comparatively low-risk supplements are often met with extreme hesitation, where people demand absolute, undeniable proof before they'll even consider trying them. The text argues for a much more consistent standard. Basically, when a possible benefit makes sense, the known risk is low, the cost is reasonable, and you can actually observe the results over time, giving it a try might be a pretty reasonable move.
So what does practical use look like? Well, the author maps out a very specific, gradual journey to test their tolerance and explore the possible cognitive benefits. They started with 3 grams a day for 1 week, then bumped it up to 6 grams daily for the following 2 weeks, and finally moved to 9 grams a day for ongoing exploration. To be clear, higher amounts aren't necessary for everyone, and this isn't presented as some universal dosing plan. It's an observational framework. It perfectly highlights the principle of starting low and adjusting based on exactly how your unique body tolerates it.
Now, the document is crystal clear on a few constraints, and it's vital we review what not to do. First, don't just assume every memory lapse is simply aging, and definitely don't ignore changes that are getting worse or happening more often. Second, do not use this as a substitute for sleep, movement, or real food. Also, do not start with a massive dose. And this is a big one. Do not ignore your kidney health, current medications, or hydration. People with kidney issues absolutely must discuss this with their doctor first. While research hasn't shown kidney damage in healthy adults using standard amounts, it can alter routine blood test results. And lastly, don't fall for complex, expensive proprietary blends. Plain old creatine monohydrate is totally sufficient.
So if you do decide you want to try it out, following these structured steps is the way to go. Choose plain creatine monohydrate. Start low, increase gradually. Make sure you take it every single day, especially in those first few weeks as your stores are building up, and keep your hydration really consistent. Keep in mind, a tiny bit of weight gain is common since your muscles are holding a bit more water. Pair the supplement with actual mental effort. And hey, if muscle support is also on your radar, pair it with resistance training and enough protein. Then, just track how you feel. Monitor your memory, your focus, your mental stamina, and your digestion over time. And as always, be sure to discuss long-term use or higher doses with your doctor.
Section 4. Protecting long-term independence.
You know, forgetting a name might seem like a totally minor thing in the moment, but those little instances can slowly chip away at your confidence over time. The larger goal here is all about protecting the everyday thinking that you need to manage your responsibilities and just live independently. Staying mentally sharp is what helps you make decisions, travel, learn new skills, and stay connected with the people around you. As the quote from our source beautifully puts it, healthy aging isn't just about dodging disease. It's about keeping the clarity, confidence, strength, and independence you need to continue living life completely on your own terms.
If you're interested in exploring these concepts even deeper, these ideas are developed further in Embracing My Vitality, Living Well in the Modern World, and Living Well Without Diabetes, a practical approach to glucose control, available on Amazon worldwide.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this calm question to encourage a little personal reflection based on today's explainer. What is one daily mental effort, like reading or learning, that you could pair with better brain support?
Help raise awareness by reposting this clip.
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.